Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some fascinating news coming out for this Nebraska program as Matt Rhule going out and hiring NFL vet Rashaan Melvin to join this Nebraska coaching staff as an assistant defensive backs coach. There's a couple of things that really piqued my interest about this, and I think this is a piece of news that probably going to fly under the radar for a lot of national media, national college football fans, maybe even some Nebraska fans. But I think it's really fascinating when you kind of peel back some layers. One, you've seen Matt Rhule identify a trend in college football that he's going to really lean into, and that is NFL guys coming down to the collegiate level and having a lot of success. I think the first example is what Michigan has done, completely revamping the defensive coaching staff, going to the NFL ranks and hiring a ton of guys with NFL experience to come be Michigan's defensive coaching staff. Michigan has had a ton of success on the defensive side of the football the last couple of years. Another really good example, Dan Lynn at UCLA, coming down from the NFL ranks, completely turning around that UCLA defense. Matt Rhule is one of the more innovative head coaches we'll see at the college football level in a world of college football where you have so many coaches that are kind of steadfast in their ways. Matt Rhule is always looking for kind of that extra percent. And I think this is a trend that Matt Rhule has noticed, and it is clear that he's leaning into this, right? John Butler coming from the NFL, joining this Nebraska coaching staff, that's just one example. Rashad Melvin, that's going to be another example. I think the second thing that I really like, and I'll kind of just say this, until I'm blue in the face, I trust Matt Rhule in terms of evaluating relationships and people. And what makes you feel really good about this addition to this Nebraska coaching staff, Matt Rhule coached Rashad Melvin when he was playing for him in Carolina in 2021. He's seen him every day. He knows how he operates. He knows how he goes about his business. I trust Matt Rhule to say, hey, Rashad Melvin's a pro's pro. He's going to be of value to this Nebraska coaching staff. So on the flip side, I just trust Matt Rhule because he knows what Rashad Melvin's about. You're adding, no doubt, a high character, a great football mind to this Nebraska coaching staff. And in this era where there's just unlimited on-field coaches, you want to just load your staff with guys that are really, really good football coaches. And if Matt Rhule believes Rashad Melvin is going to be one of them, I kind of trust Matt Rhule in that process. Want to get into a few different things before we do. Just want to say, one, thank you to you guys and to the Nebraska fans. It's been a blast updating the coaching staff, talking the recruiting trail. You guys know that anytime I get a chance to talk Nebraska football, I'm always doing it. The amount of support you guys continue to show, it truly does mean a lot. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, I would love to hear how you guys are feeling about this one in the comment section. And without further ado, let's get into this one. I think we got to start with, kind of the rule that was just passed by the NCAA, allowing pretty much unlimited on-field coaches, just kind of expanding the role that these coaches can have within college football programs. Again, that's a trend that we've seen in college football that Matt Rhule is leaning into. All right, we can have unlimited coaches on the field. We are going to lean into getting really good football minds that can work with guys across our roster. So I think that's, again, Matt Rhule kind of adjusting to the modern era of college football. I think secondly, and I think most importantly, Matt Rhule knows Rashaan Melvin. And from what I've been doing some reading on Rashaan Melvin, when I saw this news kind of break, one thing that stood out to me about Rashaan Melvin, he was an unranked kid coming out of high school. He goes to Northern Illinois. He was undrafted and then created a 10-plus year career in the NFL. And this is a guy that was not dripping with physical traits coming out of high school, was not necessarily the most talented kid at the college football level, but to make a 10-year career in the NFL, that tells you a little bit about Rashaan Melvin just being a pro's pro and doing the right things consistently. Because if you're an undrafted guy, you don't normally make rosters unless you are doing the right things consistently throughout your NFL career. So that's another thing that stands out to me about Rashaan Melvin. I think lastly, he's going to be a recruiting asset. And this is something that we are starting to see again, another trend in college football. These former NFL players on the recruiting trail, one, they're young. They know how to connect with these young kids on the high school level. But I think more importantly, regardless of NIL, and I know that's a role in the recruiting business nowadays, still the most important thing that you can sell to kids in the high school ranks, you're going to get developed to be an NFL football player. And that's the true NIL cash out, if you will. And having coaches that have done it, that have lived it, that know what it takes, that is becoming a massive asset in terms of getting guys to your college football program. All the best recruiters that you see across the country, I think Brian Hartline, probably the best example, former NFL wide receiver, now the Ohio State wide receivers coach. I mean, he just connects with these guys. He knows that, hey, I've done it. I know what the recipe is. You come to Ohio State, you're going to become an NFL wide receiver. That's obviously working quite well for Brian Hartline, not only on the recruiting trail, but in terms of player development as well. I think Rashad Melvin could probably be another asset to Nebraska in terms of on the recruiting trail. A young coach that knows how to connect with these young athletes, but most importantly says, hey, I've done what you're trying to do. And I think lastly, you look at Rashad Melvin as a football player, 6'2", 200 pounds. He is a long physical cornerback. That is what Matt Rhule has been prioritizing on the recruiting trail. So all the things that Rashad Melvin had success with at the college and NFL level, he's going to be able to very easily coach a lot of these young, long defensive backs to do the exact same stuff. So I think from a multitude of different angles, this one makes sense. And again, it's probably going to fly under the radar. But when I saw this news kind of pop up on my Twitter, I just thought it's such a great move by Matt Rhule in terms of identifying trends that we've seen in college football that have worked for other programs and say, hey, I've had a lot of success at a lot of other programs doing it my way, but I'm going to continue to adapt, and I'm going to see what the college football landscape looks like. I'm going to see what's working for other programs, and we're going to pick and choose how we want to run this program optimally in Lincoln, Nebraska. Matt Rhule's doing that. He's an extremely well thought out, innovative head coach, and you're seeing that play out not only in terms of what he's doing on the recruiting trail, but how he's going about creating this Nebraska coaching staff. Some news that'll fly under the radar. I thought it was rather interesting to talk about. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. We'll cut it there. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.